that took place from 1950 to 1953. It was the first major war of the Cold War. The conflict divided the Korean peninsula into two opposing states supported by rival global powers. Understanding this war helps you see how ideology, geography, and superpower rivalry shaped modern Asia. Background and causes. After World War II, Korea was freed from Japanese rule. The peninsula was divided at the 38th parallel. The north was supported by the Soviet Union and later China. The south was supported by the United States. Two separate governments formed. North Korea followed communism. South Korea followed a capitalist system. Both sides claimed they were the only legitimate government of all Korea. Tension increased from 1948 to 1950 with border clashes and political hostility. Outbreak of war in 1950. On 25 June 1950, North Korean forces crossed the 38th parallel and invaded South Korea. They used tanks and heavy weapons. South Korean forces were unprepared and quickly retreated. Seoul fell within days. The aim of North Korea was complete control of the peninsula through military force. United States and United Nations response. The United States saw the invasion as communist expansion. It feared a chain reaction in Asia. The United Nations Security Council approved military action because the Soviet Union was absent during the vote. The United States led a UN force made up of soldiers from more than 15 countries. The main objective was clear: defend South Korea and push back the invasion. Early setbacks in the Pusan Perimeter. By August 1950, UN and South Korean forces were pushed into a small area in the southeast, called the Pusan Perimeter. This was a critical moment. If this line collapsed, South Korea would fall. The United States used air power, naval support, and fresh troops to hold the line. Logistics and supply control helped stabilize the front. The Inchon Landing turning point. In September 1950, General Douglas MacArthur planned a risky amphibious landing at Inchon near Seoul. The attack succeeded. UN forces cut North Korean supply lines and recaptured Seoul. North Korean troops retreated rapidly. This was a decisive shift. UN forces advanced north beyond the 38th parallel, advanced toward the Chinese border. By October 1950, UN forces moved close to the Yalu River near China. The goal shifted from defense to unifying Korea under the South. This alarmed China. China feared hostile forces on its border. Despite warnings, the advance continued. Chinese intervention. In late 1950, hundreds of thousands of Chinese troops entered the war. They launched surprise attacks, especially during winter. UN forces were pushed back. Seoul changed hands again. The war entered a new phase. Large-scale offensives caused heavy casualties on both sides. Stalemate and trench warfare. By mid-1951, the front stabilized near the 38th parallel. Neither side could achieve a decisive breakthrough. Fighting resembled World War I-style warfare. There were trenches, hills, and repeated attacks for small gains. Air battles intensified. The United States used superior air power. Ground fighting remained brutal and costly. Peace talks and armistice. Negotiations began in 1951 but dragged on for 2 years. Key issues included prisoner exchange and border location. Fighting continued during talks. In July 1953, an armistice was signed at Panmunjom. The war officially stopped, but no peace treaty was signed. Korea remained divided. Results and impact. South Korea survived as an independent state. This met the original United States objective. North Korea remained under communist rule. The border stayed close to where it started. About 3 million people died, many of them civilians. Cities and infrastructure were destroyed. Why this war matters to you? The Korean War set the pattern for Cold War conflicts. The United States used limited war to contain communism. China emerged as a major military power. Korea remains divided today. Tension on the peninsula continues because the war never formally ended. If you want, I can now explain this war in exam answer format, make a short revision summary, or compare it with the Vietnam War.